Chapter 4 of The Diary of a Russian Lady. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Tom Shoesmith. The Diary of a Russian Lady by Barbara Doukhovsky. Chapter 4. My Second Trip Abroad. In order to recover entirely from the effects of my illness, the physicians sent me to Biarritz. I was taken abroad by Mamma. Towards the latter end of July, travelling from Berlin, there was a nice German lady with her niece in our compartment, and I was delighted with my new acquaintance, a girl of about my own age, ever ready for frolic and fun. As soon as the whistle of our train announced an approaching station, we hung our heads out of the window and exchanged glances with groups of German students, in red caps, who promenaded on the platform, shouting to them, "Rotkäppchen!" But as soon as they approached, our heads were hurriedly withdrawn. We established ourselves in Biarritz at the delightful Hôtel d'Angleterre, full of English tourists. The outlook from our windows was splendid. In the distance came the incessant wash of the ocean, and at night the murmur of the waves was a sweet lullaby soothing me to sleep. On the first day of our arrival at table d'hôte, my eyes travelled around the table and noticed an attractive-looking English trio sitting opposite to us. Mr. Delbruck, his son Alfred, and his nephew Walter Heap, a fine, fresh-looking boy, with whom I made a nice little bit of flirtation during our stay in Biarritz. He was very much drawn towards me. I also entertained tender feelings towards him. And what of the Prince of Montenegro? But never mind the prince, he was far enough away, just then anyhow. In Biarritz you are next door to Spain, and I longed to catch a glimpse of that poetic country of fans, mantillas, and serenades. The Delbrucks agreed to go with us to San Sebastiano, a Spanish town near the frontier. We could easily go there and be back by dinner time. We started at an early hour, half asleep all of us, but were soon cheered up as we came out into the freshness and crispness of the early morning. As we passed the frontier, I was very much disappointed to see that the Spanish officials, walking on the platform, looked just the same as the French ones, not a bit like the opera Toreadors or Tariabolos. After a speedy breakfast at the London Hotel, we loitered about the town of San Sebastiano in a labyrinth of narrow streets, and mounted to the top of the citadel. The climb proved to be a long, hot, and fatiguing one. Halfway up we saw the monument of a German merchant, who, after having become bankrupt, had thrown himself into the ocean from that spot. When we reached the citadel, we went groping along silent passageways. The semi-darkness within began to provoke a disagreeable impression upon me, especially when I perceived a ghastly face peep in at us through the bars of a dungeon window. The prisoner was beckoning to us, trying to explain by an expressive pantomime that he was going to have his head cut off. I regarded him with eyes of terror and alarm, and, remarking my fright, the prisoner amused himself to increase it by shouting to me, "Señorita, escúchame!" "Listen to me, miss," which I certainly declined to do, and hid myself behind the backs of my cavaliers. We returned to the hotel thoroughly done up. After dinner, as we took our seats in the train carrying us back to Biarritz, an elderly Spaniard came in, cigar in mouth. He sat down and sent a dense cloud of horrid smoke right into our faces, making Mamma feel faint. Noticing that, Mr. Delbruck requested our unpleasant fellow-traveller to stop smoking, but he only sneered, puffing away at his cigar. The next day the Delbrucks proposed another expedition, to the convent of the Bernardines, where the nuns took vows of perpetual silence. When we came within the enclosure of that monastery, situated near Bayonne, there was an ominous deep stillness around us. In passing through the garden, we saw a group of nuns sitting in pairs under the trees, with their backs turned to each other, reading their breviaire. These poor cloistered women were draped in long white robes, with a black cross embroidered on the back. An enormous hood covered their faces entirely. Mamma, having enough of hotel life, began to look for a private villa, and I triumphed inwardly each time she did not come to a right understanding with the proprietors, for it did not suit me a bit to be separated from Walter Heap. But Mamma made her choice at last, and before long we were installed in a pretty cottage called Maison Monheur. Happily, the day of our removal coincided with the day of the departure of my English friends. Mr. Delbruck gave us a pressing invitation to come and have a grape cure on his property, situated in the neighbourhood of Bordeaux. This suggestion was seized upon by the boys with enthusiasm. They promised me a warm reception, and said they would do anything they could to make my visit a pleasant one, and painted me entrancing pictures of the good times they would give me. They could offer me fishing, a pony for me to ride, and other enticing things. For my part, I thought it would be splendid fun, and the invitation was so tempting that I was ready to embrace Mr. Delbrook. But Mamma declined it to my intense disappointment. Towards the end of September, we started our homeward journey. The end of Chapter 4.